Hey, I'm Jake, and for this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my workflow process for arranging my 8-bar loops into full song ideas. So we have 8 bars over here, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, so I'm gonna put a skip button, but if you guys want to hear the breakdown of the sounds, I'm gonna do that right now. So I'm gonna select a region, and if you want to audition any of your sounds and your 8-bar loop ideas in Logic Pro X, all you have to do is left click and select your region and press Control S. And that will make sure any region that you select is soloed, instead of having to press solo, and then unclick this. It's just a faster way. So left click and Control S. And these are the sounds. You can also press Shift and space as long as your region's selected. So instead of playing from the start of the cycle area, which is this yellow bar, if you press Shift and space, it will play automatically from the selected region. Okay, so the regions that are color blue are all my harmonics except for the bass. The regions that are in color gold are my drums. My bass is color brown, and my vinyl effect is color purple. So let's get into a bit of shortcuts. The first shortcut you're going to want to know is T and R. That brings you to your marquee tool. What the marquee tool will do is, in this case for arranging, if I select and drag any part and press Control M, it allows me to mute and Control M again and unmute parts without having to specifically select the tracks. So I could just do something like this and just mute them really quickly. The bigger the arrangement, the more handy this tool is. The second thing is, let's say these are muted. If you hold Shift M, that selects all the muted regions within your arrangement view. So if I press Shift M and delete, that allows me to delete the muted regions. The next set of shortcuts have everything to do with the cycle range. The cycle range is this guy over here. It's basically that looping ruler. So if I left click this and it's black, it's deactivated. If I left click it again, it's activated. You know that you can change the length by going to the end of the loop bracelet and just dragging left and right. Now, if I wanted to move this guy over here really quick, right? And I wanted to make it exactly 8 bars. The length, if I wanted the cycle range to be the same length as my region, my selected region, how do I do that without having to waste a lot of time doing this, dragging this left and then bringing this out like that? Well, first things first, you left click the region and you just press U. You get everything you want. So let's move on again. If you've seen other arrangement videos in Logic Pro X, you'll know that they press Command A or they highlight and select all the regions from their 8-bar loop, and they'll do something like this. Option, left click, and drag. Or they'll press Command R, Command R, Command R. That's not exactly the fastest way, although it's very intuitive. But what I like to do is, if I wanted to do this in one keystroke, as long as my cycle range is in the correct place, meaning it's on top of all my regions and it's the same length, which is why I said left click a region and press U. You can do that in 3 keys, Control, Command, R. What this does is it basically tells Logic, select all the tracks under this cycle range and just quickly bring them to the right. The next key command is you can tell Logic to select all these tracks and nudge them to the right based on the length of the looping cycle. So you can just do this by pressing Control, Command, Z. There you go. Let's say you wanted only 2 bars, right? If I press Control, Command, Z, it nudges all my tracks to the right by 2 bars. The last thing is Control, Command, X, and that just cuts it. All right, let's move on. So the way I like to arrange is I don't use the arrangement or marker tools because I want to color code things and I want to use an arrangement tool that acts and behaves exactly like the regions. So the best way to do that for me is to just create an empty instrument and use the regions from the arrangement view in Logic Pro X. So I'll press Option Command S and I will create an empty instrument. I'll press T and P, left click, press T and T again and go back to my pointer tool, and I'll left click this small region, and to quickly stretch it out to 8 bars, I'll just press Option Command and L. Whoops, let me do that again. Option Command and L. There you go. Now I'll bring this instrument all the way to the top and I'll color code this. So I'll press Option C and change this to the color orange. And then I have to rename this. So I'll press Shift and Enter, 8 bars. That's how you rename the instrument. And when the region is selected, I'll press Shift Option N. That will change this region to match the title of the instrument. Okay, I'm gonna press Control Command R and I'll duplicate this. So I have 8 bars, 8 bars. I like doing this because instead of looking at everything over here, I just look at the top bars, and that way I can keep count of my arrangement and differentiate my selective workflow accordingly. So we have 8 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars. We can call this a chorus. The reason why I like working first on a chorus is because your 8-bar idea is most likely full, and choruses are more full than verses for the most part. All right. So we need to start muting some tracks. And this is the part that I can't really teach because it's a matter of taste and you all have your own taste. This is something you'll have to figure out. But I can tell you that in my workflow, I tend to listen to the harmonics in solo and mute accordingly, and listen to the drums in solo and mute accordingly. So let's do that. Select all these guys that are in color blue and press play. So I know that the small classic organ stands out. So I'm gonna press T and M and just mute that guy. I know I don't need this new romantic pad sound, so I'm gonna mute that. So for the second half of the chorus, the next 8 bars, I'm introducing this new romantic pad, which sounds like this. There we go. So now we have our harmonic chorus set down. Let's move over to the drums. That's high energy. I'm just going to get my marquee tool and go from the kick, mute everything here. Press T and M. I'll mute these hats too. And I'll mute this echoey reverb. I'll probably mute this bass as well. I already know that. So let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, good. I need to make an intro now. So we start with the chorus because the 8-bar idea is most likely at its fullest, which is near the quality of what a chorus might sound like. The next part I'm going to jump to is not the verse, but the intro. So I already have selected this 8-bar region. The loop is set. I'm going to press Control Command Z, left click anywhere, and I'm going to drag this guy over here. Option drag. I'm going to color code this. So since this is color coded, my eyes can now easily tell me which part is my chorus and which part is my intro. I'm choosing the intro because while the chorus is the most filled, the intro is the emptiest. Therefore, it's also easy for me to do. And this, bringing your loop idea to a full arrangement, can make you feel insecure, so I recommend doing the easiest parts. So I'll just drag these guys over here because they're at the first part of the chorus, and I'll drag these violins. Okay, that's too filled up. So let's just make some cuts, some random cuts. So I'm gonna cut this guy in half, and I'll introduce this guy over here, up until here, and the violins will be this part. So let's hear how that sounds and how that transitions. Or maybe I'll add a loop at the very end. And let's see how that transitions to the chorus. Okay, so what the chorus has muted, so 8 bars, 8 bars. We're gonna move on to the verse now. Okay, so let's move on to the verse. So how do we get started with the verse? Well, for the first 8 bars and the second 8 bars, the whole chorus, what I like to do is look at what's been muted on both ends. So if I play these guys, this has been muted. Sorry about that. And this guy has been muted. So I want to introduce some variation, some difference between the chorus and the verse. What better way to do that than introduce one of the ingredients in your 8-bar loop that wasn't a part of the chorus? So what I'm going to do now is press U once I've selected the region, and I'll press Control Command R. Everything's here. For this 8 bars, I'm going to color code it differently. Probably pink. So I'm going to press U. Here we are. So let's mute this guy, this guy, this guy. Let's mute everything and just introduce the one part, the small classic organ that was absent in the entire chorus. Okay, for transitioning from the chorus, we need the drums to rest as well. Treat both the drums and the harmonies equally. That's what I like to do. So what happens if I mute everything here? Still not good. Gotta mute the hats and the claps. And I'll just add this guy over here. So we need to move on again. I'm gonna press Control Command R. Next thing we could do is introduce quite a lot of the drums. So the whole idea between, for me, with arrangement, it's controlling energy. That's fine, but I could just mute the small classic organ and play this sound, I guess. I'll also add these hats. It's just a matter of taste. That's all it is. So now I know 8-bar intro, 16-bar chorus. I don't want a 16-bar verse. I've used Google enough times to know the standard structure. Most people now have a 24-bar verse. So 8, 16, 24. I'm terrible at math and terrible at counting, but this color coding method works really well for me. So now I'm gonna mute this Chiang Mai chord sound, and we have to change it up. So what I want is for this guy to build back into the chorus. So I'll show you something else. I'll press U and I'll press Shift L, and it will select everything within the cycle range. I'm gonna copy that. Left click over here and just copy and paste. So I want this guy to move smoothly to the chorus. That's not very smooth. Some people might build hi-hats or they'll build up fills or noise risers. But I think another method that's pretty underestimated is just to highlight one bar, Control M, sorry about that. Highlight one bar, Control M, shorten, yeah, and just mute everything. And that way, I think I'll just keep the vinyl. Let me just do this again. I want the vinyl to play the whole way through. All right, so we have a better tension that adds up to the chorus or transitions. But now the Chiang Mai sounds too repetitive. And that's the thing about looping, 8-bar ideas. It sounds so repetitive that we don't know what to do with it. So I'm just showing you how I make my decisions. So I'm gonna mute these guys and I'll listen to something interesting. Okay, so that interests me. I'll bring that in to the last 8 bars over here and probably bring this guy in. I'll mute some parts and take away some energy from the drums. And maybe let's hear how that sounds. So I know there's too much energy because of these hats. I'm gonna take these guys away. Good. And I might even take these guys away. I'm gonna try to think and be aggressive. I don't want these trap sounding hi-hats. Well, I take it back. I don't want the vinyl sound. That sounded good to me. Okay, well and good. Now what I'm gonna do is clean up. Shift M, it will select all the muted regions and just delete. Now I can visualize my arrangement. So we have intro, chorus, verse, chorus. And what I'll do is just highlight these guys, press U and Control Command R. And if I wanted to cheat, I could just copy these guys and paste them back here and just reverse this. All right, maybe something like this. And that's the ending. And as usual, I will add this and just call this end. So that's our whole arrangement. Now, I'm going to show you one last thing. This is a sketch arrangement. If I press U, now you have your intro. Everything is set. But you're not done. What if you want to finesse things? What if you want to change the chorus, add different types of transitions? I like to keep things very organized, so I'll highlight all my instruments except for my 8-bar instrument. And I'll press Shift Command H, and that will put them into a subfolder. Then I will press H to show my hide function, and I'll left click over here, and if I press H again, that hides it. So now what I can do is create another instrument or an audio file, and I can build the transitions, and I'll know where it is, and I'll have a clean interface. But I'm not going to do that for this session. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play back this beat, but I will record some vocals just to show you how much of a difference spacing can make. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've recorded a vocal idea. It took me quite a while to come up with, but now we're going to play back the track. And this is how I sketch out most of my songs. Enjoy.
Wish I had some swag from the west side. Wish that I was Gucci with the best ride. Louis in a bag full of bands. I can never understand what it's doing to me. Oh, don't say no. Why? Everybody want them things. Everybody want them things. Better get some cheddar. I just wanna say that my cerebellum fed up with this era of forever 21 young. Competition beating me like a lindrum. It go bum like give me shelter in the streets. I go dumb fantasizing about a 10-piece. Sipping Venti, plenty Benjis, maybe Genji. Make me overwatching over clock for a Bentley. Cut him off machete, serve him like it's Michelin. I'm just trying to move you to a better place. Immigrant, image is significant. Diamonds that we christening with a holy water flow whipping. I pray for Flint, Michigan. Wish I had some swag from the west side. Wish that I was Gucci with the best ride.